Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Aviana. This is Aviana's Ascension, and today we are doing another self-healing vlog. Today's theme is about seeing self-care as a sacred discipline instead of an obligation. So in this video, we're going to go over, first of all, what even that means, the importance of it, how we can get out of that mindset, and then we'll talk about the beauty that comes into place once you do start seeing self-care as a sacred discipline instead of an obligation. All right. So thanks for joining me. Take what feels right for you. Leave the rest behind. Maybe make some notes if you want. If you have some self-care tips or tips for people to commit to their self-care, leave them in the comments below. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so first of all, I've got my little notes here. First, what even is look at self-care as sacred discipline instead of an obligation. So for me, that's about showing up for your self-care because you deserve it, because it's a way to show yourself that you love yourself, to commit to yourself, right? So if you're able to show up for work, if you're able to show up for others, then you can show up for your self-care. It's just a lot of people see it as something I have to do or something that's on your to-do list, rather than seeing it as something you get to do, right? Because the more committed you are to your self-care, the better your life is, right? If you have your good morning routine, nighttime routine, you're setting yourself up for success. If you're going to the gym, you're taking good care of your body. If you're meal prepping, you're putting yourself in a situation to have good, healthy, home-cooked meals instead of having to go buy fast food or something quick and processed to fill your body instead. You know what I mean? It's about having the discipline to show up for yourself so the rest of your life can go smoothly, can go flow in a healthy way that resonates for you. All right. Yes. I'll be honest, I don't edit my vlogs. Maybe I should, but I don't, because I'll be honest, I don't have the memory on my phone to be doing that. I can't re-download, edit, and then, you know what I'm saying? So let's just flow with it and be normal humans about it. I love it. Okay, so let's talk about the importance of seeing self-care as a sacred discipline, not an obligation. All right? Which again, it's like I get to go to the gym. I get to do my morning routine. I get to make my bed. Not, oh, I have to make my bed to feel like a good person. No. Either way, if you make your bed, you don't make your bed, you're still a good person. Make your bed because you deserve to have a nice bed. Just want to make sure I'm bringing that point home. Okay, so the importance of seeing self-care as a sacred discipline instead of an obligation is, first and foremost, it gives you the energy to show up for others, to show up for the other things in your life. And I'm bringing that up first because I think a lot of people, they'll put their self-care on the back burner because, oh, this person needs me. I have to do this for my job. I need to do that instead. You know, I remember one time it was my mom's birthday and I got her like an inspiration, like workbook kind of thing. And she was telling me, she was like, oh, I'll put it in my yoga room and I'll start doing my yoga and I'll start filling out this book. And she's like, and she was telling me like, but you know, I've got this graduation. I've got this to do. I've got that to do. And I told her, I was like, Mom, the to-do list is always going to be there. It will always be there. So it's about, is it important enough to you to show up for yourself before you show up for these other things? Because I promise you, showing up for your yoga and your little workbook will give you the bandwidth to handle a long graduation. You know what I mean? A lot of the times, you know, we think that, oh, I'll get to it. But when's the last time you actually made that happen and stuck to the routines and the commitments and the practices that you wanted, right? So you have to switch your mindset and say, if I want to be able to show up for others, if I want to be the best version of myself for my work, for my family, whatever, then I have to fill my cup. I have to take care of myself, right? Because you can't pour from an empty cup. I know it may feel like you can, but you know, even in the moments when you're doing things for other people or showing up for these other obligations, are you showing up as the best version of yourself? Do you have the energy? Do you have, you know, the space to pour into these things, you know? Because I bet you a lot of you are making it happen, but are you doing so like gritting your teeth and wishing you weren't there? Are you doing so not fully present because you're so exhausted, or maybe your mind's somewhere else about the other things you need to do, you know? It's necessary to show up for your self-care so you're energized, so you're feeling good, and so you can show up for others. You know? Another reason why this is important is people will indulge in self-care or me time or relaxation that doesn't actually fulfill them, that doesn't actually make them feel good. It may be something that's numbing or maybe an instant gratification thing, but is it actually filling your battery? I'm sure a lot of you can relate. You come home from work and you put on the TV or you scroll through your phone, or you get a quick meal or a glass of wine or something. And I'm not saying you're not allowed to do those things. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm the type of person, the type of healer that, like, one day I'll be Buddha and one day I'll be Dionysus. I could be saying that wrong. The Greek god of like grapes and like fun. Like sometimes you're just here to kick it and have a good time. Some days you're here to be, enlightened and responsible and evolving. It doesn't have to be like every single day, 100% of the day, I'm taking good care of myself. I don't think those are realistic expectations, but it should be the exception, not the rule. You know what I mean? You need to have these healthy routines that actually restore you, that actually make you feel good. Because whenever you're going to those instant gratification things or those numbing things, yes, it might quiet your mind for a moment or your body might feel relaxed, but you still wake up exhausted the next day, you know? So it's about committing to the practices that actually make you feel good. So you, one, love your life, and two, so you have the energy to do the other things that you want to do, you know? All right, so let's break it down about what this exactly means. So, first way for me to look at self-care as a sacred discipline instead of an obligation is to see self-care as a celebration of what your body can do. I remember when my granny, she was in hospice and she did hospice at my sister's house. So we would go over there and, help out and, spend time with her. And it wasn't that she wanted to go out and dance or, go to a concert or do anything exciting. What she was most missing was just the ability to take care of herself, to make her own food, to walk outside, to walk at all, to be able to make her own coffee in the morning, to do her own laundry, to fold her laundry. Those were the simple things that she wanted more than anything. And watching my granny go through hospice was a big wake up call for me, because I don't want to be taking my body for granted and what it can do until I can't do it anymore. And then I truly miss it, right? So, like when you're going to the gym, and this also makes me think of Yoga with Adriene. If you haven't heard of her, you've been under a rock, but she's amazing. And she's got a YouTube channel. She's got like 12 million subscribers or something like that. She sold out Red Rocks. Like, she's fierce. But she says this in her yoga videos sometimes when it's like, when she knows she's about to do stuff like planks and like boat pose and maybe those more trying poses, or she knows we're about to hold something for a minute that might be a little difficult. She always says, what's your attitude, your energy going into it, right? So like, same with doing your dishes, cooking a meal for yourself, making your bed, cleaning your house, going to the gym, going to a exercise class, what is your energy going into it? Do you view it as a punishment? Do you feel like, oh, because I ate this thing or because I haven't been to the gym in a while, I have to go, Or can you switch your mindset and say, I get to go to the gym. I get to go do yoga. I get to make my bed, right? Because for me, that mindset shift is what helped me be excited to clean up after myself, like because I have a regular job too. So I get off late from there sometimes and I come home and I clean up my house, I would love to sit down and numb with TV. But even when I was doing that, I was sitting there and I was like, I don't even like this. Like, it makes me feel bad about myself. So it's like I'm resting, but I'm not even resting because my mind's not at peace. Because my mind's thinking about, well, I could be reading a book. I could be doing a little Sudoku. I could be cleaning up this house. I could be throwing in something of laundry at least while I'm doing this. You know what I mean? So it's like, even in those moments of numbing or resting, you can't even rest because you're feeling guilty or feeling like there's other things you should be doing, So when I go to the gym, I think of it as like I am excited to be able to walk, to be able to lift weights. You know, even my mom, like she's not in hospice, thank God, but like she has a an illness, like a physical illness that has caused her to not be able to like drive and not be able to work and things like that, you know? And so it's just like, I'm sure even in the moments when she was struggling and having to serve tables, I'm sure she misses being able to do that because now she can't, right? So think of it that way. Think about the fact that at some point in your life, I don't know why my voice got shaky, but it is a little emotional. Like when I think of like older people or my granny or even just people who aren't able bodied, whether that's like something physically happened to them or maybe they have a terminal illness or a chronic illness or whatever's going on. You never know what could happen. You really never know. I really am getting emotional. But it's just so beautiful to be able to celebrate what you can do, to make your bed for yourself. Because the fact that you have a bed, the fact that you have pillows and blankets and sheets, you know, these are things, especially in America, these are things that we've gotten so accustomed to. You know, even like the worst of the worst for some people isn't as bad as some other countries, right? So I think in America, we've gotten so used to these accommodations that we don't realize this is not an everyday thing for some people. And it can be gone like that, you know? So go do your dishes and see it as not as look at all these dishes I have, but see it as it's an honor to clean up my space. At least I have food that I could cook for myself. You know, I have water that I can wash my dishes with. I was able to afford soap. You know, if you really break it down, there's so many beautiful, simple treasures in life that we have that we really do take for granted. So the next time you're going to the gym or you're cleaning up your house or, you know, even like I know some people, you know, maybe they struggle with like taking care of their hygiene, you know, brushing their teeth and putting on their deodorant, washing their hair, brushing their hair, you know. Think of it as at least I have these things. At least I have teeth to take care of. At least I have hair that needs to be brushed. You know what I mean? At least I have a hairbrush. So don't think of it as I have to brush my hair. I have to brush my teeth. It is an honor to be able to take care of yourself. See it as that. Mm. And when you do that, it makes you fall in love with simple things in your life, you know? And one thing that I will say that has helped me commit to like taking care of myself, doing my routines, I will watch like spend the day with me or like get ready with me, nighttime, morning routines, and I'll just play them while I'm doing my own thing. Maybe, maybe for some of you, you're into content creation or that's something that you've wanted to get into. Maybe vlog while you're doing your obligations, while you're going through your day, you know? Or if you don't want to like actually vlog, pretend you're talking to somebody. Or maybe there's a friend that you can pair up with and you guys can FaceTime each other while you're doing your stuff, you know? Sometimes I would go on YouTube live while I was like making a meditation or something so I would stay locked in. Because it's helpful to have a little friend there with you, you know? All right, so let's keep it moving and grooving. Okay, so another little point is doing self-care because you deserve it, right? And that's an important thing. Obviously, you deserve rest. You deserve to go out with your friends, socialize, have a good time, obviously. But you also deserve to take care of yourself. And this is important because when you raise the bar for yourself, how you're showing up for yourself, you raise the bar for everybody. Okay? So if you're somebody who always has flaky friends or partnerships that aren't great, maybe family members that try you a little too much, if you show up for yourself, you won't even entertain anybody not showing up for you. You won't have the time to entertain it. You know what I mean? So this is kind of like what I was saying with the bed. Like you deserve to have a nice bed. You deserve to have a beautiful bed that you come home to after work, after doing whatever. You know, you deserve to have a clean house. You deserve to have a full fridge. You deserve to have a home cooked meal. And I think a lot of the times we want someone else to do that for us. Like it's more special if someone else, you know, buys me food or someone else gets me flowers, you know. But you should be valuing your own love and care just as much as you value someone else's. And also, when you do it for yourself, it makes it, I don't want to say less special, but it makes you, honestly, I feel like it makes your standards higher, especially like with romantic relationships, you know? Because if you're out here taking yourself out to eat, getting yourself flowers, going and getting your own nails done for you, dressing up for you, then it won't be as enticing if someone else does it. And I think that's important because a lot of us can get in relationships that don't make sense because maybe there's a lot of love bombing going on, or maybe it feels exciting to have someone notice us and give us that attention, that energy. So when you give it to yourself, it's not as exciting when someone else does it. So then you're not accommodating your boundaries, your expectations just because someone gave you flowers or someone got you dinner or someone remembered something about you. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's you deserve self-care, you know, just like, you know, you should be drinking water because you deserve to be hydrated. You know, you should eat healthy because you deserve to take good care of yourself. And self-care is a birthright, you know what I mean? I think that's also like the where we're missing the mark a little bit is because we think, oh, I'll do these things when I have a certain amount of money or when I reach certain goals or when these other things are taken care of. But self-care is a birthright, you know? There's nothing you have to prove or do or save up to start taking care of yourself. And I think that us, not us, like America kind of marketing self care as like this luxury thing. Definitely not nowadays, I don't think, but I feel like before it was like, oh, this is something you save up for. You get your PTO, you know, and then you go on the trip or then you know, take care of yourself. But it's a birthright, you know, it's something that we have to do. You know, we just like we have to sleep, right? That's self care. And you don't negotiate with yourself about, oh, I'll get sleep tomorrow, I'll get sleep another day. No, you go to bed every day, you know? But it's just like when I was getting back into the gym, I mean, it was difficult for me at first because first of all, I was tired, you know, like my body hadn't been moved like that in a while. And I had to tell myself like I just my body deserves to feel good. So I'm going to go to the gym, you know? It kind of goes back with like see it as a celebration of what you can do, but it's also like what you deserve, you know? You deserve to feel good. You deserve to also trust yourself. That's another thing about committing to self-care is it shows your brain that you commit to yourself and that you can trust yourself. You know what I mean? And eventually when you start showing up for these things and start adjusting your routines, it becomes just second nature, you know? Like now I'm at the point where I don't even have to talk myself into going to the gym. I just go. Like today, my mom wanted me to see because she can't drive. I had to drive her to the post office and like the pharmacy and some other stuff. And so in those moments, because she wanted me to take her at like 11 or something, and I was gonna work today, but the shift disappeared, so I didn't pick up anyways. So I told her, so, like, for example, instead of not going to the gym because my mom needed me and I needed to record this vlog and I had work, instead of making those excuses, right? Because we do that too. We will, our brain does that and will give us excuses or reasons why something can't work. But that's the thing. You have to show your brain that that's not what we do anymore, baby. We figure it out. We are not compromising our self care, our routines, even for a good reason, like I need to drive my mom somewhere. So what I did is I told her, I was like, okay, if you want to do this, we're going to have to go a little earlier, if that's okay, if that works, you know? Because at the end of the day, if it didn't work, she'd have to find another ride. But it did work out. And so I took her. So instead of just saying, I'm not going to work out today, I woke up at like 6:15. I did my little morning routine and I got to the gym, you know, and I did my little workout, came home, showered, got ready for the day. Then I went and took my mom, you know? So it's just about like, you deserve to commit to yourself. You deserve to trust yourself. And the only way that you're going to implement that self-trust is by continuing to show up for the commitments that you make for yourself, right? So another thing about self-care is you want to make sure you're putting routines, practices in place that actually resonate for you, and you can give yourself time to, figure that out and, try things out, see if that works, see if this works. Maybe that works, but we need to adjust it a little bit. Give yourself permission to figure that out. I think that's another thing that gets people stuck on the self-care and the routines is they think it has to look a certain way or it has to be a certain way. Like I'm not someone that wakes up at 6 a.m. every day. Okay. I'm a tired girl. I don't always want to wake up at 6 a.m. I did like it today though. So maybe that's something I can do every once in a while or see if I can implement it. We'll see, but you don't have to hold yourself to the fire to see what's the perfect thing? What am I going to do? I have to be like these other vloggers and these content creators. Like, no, you can watch the content creators for inspiration, for new ideas, but give yourself the time to navigate these new routines. Okay. And also one thing that might help you with that, I do have an online ceremony coming up. I do online ceremonies every month, and this one is going to be on August 24th, which is a Monday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And this online ceremony is called Fill Your Cup. So this is about all the ceremonies. I start out by talking about the importance of the ceremony, kind of like what I did here. And then I'm going to guide you through a meditation. And then after the meditation, we reflect. And then we do a collective tarot reading where everybody gets guidance. But this one, the meditation is connecting you with your higher self. And it's going to connect you with different areas in your life. It's represented by different cups. And each area in your life, you'll be able to see what you need. So that way, when you're reapproaching self-care, you're not just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. Okay, so if you're into that, I'll leave the link down below in the description box, but just wanted to include that real quick. But yeah, so give yourself grace to figure out what works for you and what doesn't. That's totally fine. You don't have to be perfect as soon as you decide to re-embrace self-care. But know that it's something you deserve. So when your brain or the distractions start to make you negotiate your self-care, notice that, and ask yourself, why am I negotiating that? I would do that too. Like I would be in the gym, like I'd be at the gym, but I'd be looking at the time and be like, oh, well, if I want to make content, then I don't have time to do the cardio. I don't have time to stretch. And I literally have to tell myself, I'm not negotiating my self-care, my physical health for my business or anything else. Because at the end of the day, if I don't take care of me and this vessel, the business is not there either. You know what I'm saying? Nobody else can come in as Aviana. So Aviana has to take care of Aviana so Aviana's ascension can be running. That's what I mean. That's the thing. Okay. All right. So another thing is seeing yourself as the altar. This is one of my favorite things. So just like we care for altars, I've got my altar right here. She's gorgeous. We've got altars, there's grave sites, there's temples, churches, gardens. All of those things I see as like temples or altars or whatever. So just like we care for those things, like we make sure they're dusted, they're being watered, we're pulling the weeds, like when you're going into a temple or a church, you're dressing nicely, you're being, what is that? Demure, very mindful, like that's how you're carrying yourself, because what you're going towards, what you're about to walk up into is something to be respected. And that's how you got to treat you. Okay. So seeing yourself as the altar, obviously this can translate into like the things you're consuming, right? Like making sure you're drinking enough water, eating healthy, and also knowing, if, again, I'm not saying you have to be like a monk and be perfect and all this. That's not realistic. I'm not like that. But it's about, let me commit to these practices. So that way, say I do decide to go out with my little friends, it's not that devastating, and I can easily return back to the routine. That's another thing. I think people fall off their routines and then they judge themselves and then they just fall off forever. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to fall down. It's about how you get back up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had a little bit of a hot girl summer. I've been outside, And so there's moments I went out with my friend Macy, and honestly, I'm 28, so it's like you're getting to that age now where you're like, hold on, this ain't hitting like it used to. I need a moment to recuperate, And we went out. We were having a good old time. We shut the dance floor down, you know. And then the next day, I was like, ooh wee, I'm hurting, So that day, I let myself rest. I, took a bath, drank tons of water, recuperated. Then the day after that, back at it again. You know what I mean? And if you need 2 days, 3 days, that's fine. But just eventually get back on it, right? Because sometimes the altar collects dust. But I don't just look at it and say, well, it's dusty and that's it forever. No, I go get me a little rag and I dust it down, And then I put something in place like, okay, I'll dust this every 2 weeks, something like that. But seeing yourself as the altar is really just treating yourself with respect, Treat yourself how you wish everybody else would treat you. And then they will, right? Because at the end of the day, the things that are surrounding you can't surround you unless you're in alignment with them. So if there's a lot of people that are pulling you in a million different directions, or people that don't respect you, that aren't treating you the way you deserve to be treated, ask yourself, am I treating myself the way I deserve to be treated? Am I showing up for myself? Am I committing to myself? Am I breaking the promises to myself? You know what I'm saying? The call's coming from inside the house, okay? But seeing yourself as the altar is just like kind of the same thing. Like, I deserve this self-care, But I think it helps, especially for some people, because it's easier for others to show this respect and this care to these other things. But when it comes to themselves, they're lacking. So it's just like you can't negotiate that with yourself. You have to see yourself as this divine gift to the world, because guess what? You are, baby. And how do I know that? Because you were born, because you're here, right? If you weren't meant to be a special gift in this world, you wouldn't be here, okay? So treat yourself like the gift that you are. And again, once you start doing that, you will have a lot less tolerance for those that aren't showing up for you. Whether that's a friend, family, work, you won't be having the time for it. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about see yourself as the altar. I feel like that can go into kind of dressing up as well. Now, I know not everybody's into dressing up, right? And I'm not saying like you have to put on a whole suit or like a whole dress and high heels, There are some people who love that. Good for you. Keep it up. But, just like with basic hygiene, with, slicking your hair back and, putting yourself together to go out or to even be around your house, doing little things like that will naturally uplift your mood, And it shows yourself, look, I love myself. I take good care of myself. Even though I'm not going anywhere, I'm going to smell good today. I'm going to do my hair today. Because that's what you deserve. And I also think just taking care of yourself in that way, it raises your frequency. So then other people are taking better care of you, and you're attracting people who take care of themselves. So especially if you're someone who maybe you feel a little isolated in like your desire to take better care of yourself, just start doing it on your own, Because I remember like when I was in my relationship, I would want my boyfriend to go to the gym with me, and he would come sometimes, but then there'd be moments when he'd be like, no, I stayed up all night playing video games and I don't want to go. And it would hurt my feelings. And I'd be like, you don't want to do anything I want to do. And so I just stopped asking him to go. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go by myself. I'm going to stop waiting for people to come with me or to decide that that sounds like fun. And I'm just going to start doing it myself. Stop waiting for someone to co-sign or be your co-pilot for the life that you want. Start living it. Start committing to it. And then you'll find people who align with you. Or they'll see how you're living and be really intrigued by it and be like, you know what? Let me join you on that. Lead by example. Okay? All right. Last little thing, and honestly my favorite one. This talks about how committing to routines, that is the key to creating the life you truly desire. It may not be as exciting or as intense or whatever. Exciting is a good word. It may not be as exciting as the instant gratification or the numbing, but it's the key that you're missing. Okay. So that's huge, right? So, I mean, that literally makes so much sense, right? So, for example, for me, like committing to go to the gym, to doing some sort of physical activity, that's going to help me feel good about myself, feel good in my body, have some of my pain go away. You know what I mean? Also, hold on. Let me try to say this in a way that makes more sense. I was going to use my business as an example, but I don't know if I want to do that. Let's think. Okay, I'm going to use my business as an example anyways, because that's the only thing really I do in my life. Now I do a lot of things, but business is important to me. So, like for my business, some of my little routines are like posting 2 times a day, or like tracking my income and expenses and then putting my like 25% of that in a saving so I can, have the money for taxes. Like, obviously, that's not exciting. It's not exciting all the time to post 2 times a day, right? Like doing the editing and all of that. It's not exciting. It's actually kind of tedious and kind of can be annoying sometimes. Like, I get over it. I'm like, I'm so tired of editing and hearing myself talk. But if my goal is to be the Beyonce of the tarot community and healing community, guess who needs to show up? Me. You know what I'm saying? Because my goal is not going to pop up out of thin air. Someone's not going to wave a magic wand and then boom, there I am. You know what I mean? And I know there's moments where like people can go viral and things like that, but I'm not trying to go viral. I mean, that's cool, but like I want to create longevity. I'm trying to create a legacy. I want stable growth, right? So even though going viral is exciting, there's all this noise surrounding it, it's just as fleeting, right? So it's kind of like, say, for example, you've been wanting to work on getting better rest, okay? When you get off work or when you're laying down and doing your nighttime routine, are you just sitting and staring at the TV until you pass out? Or are you getting up and maybe doing a little nighttime yoga routine? Are you washing your face and listening to a meditation? Are you reading a book at night? You know what I mean? Like, if your goal is more quality rest, what steps are you doing to commit to that? And that's the thing. A lot of people, I think, they feel like their goals or this transformation or this shift in their life is going to be like this big epiphany or this big moment. And maybe there's a moment of motivation. Maybe there's something that gets you to decide, like, I want to do these things. But eventually that motivation runs out. Eventually these new routines or practices aren't as fresh and new as exciting, like a new toy. Eventually you get used to it. So you want to make sure that the end result that comes from your commitment is what's driving you. And you remind yourself in the moments when you feel like it's boring or monotonous, you remind yourself, but this is what it's going to lead me to. You know what I mean? Like getting up every day and going to the gym is not an exciting thing. Sometimes I want to skip it. But do I want a hot bod or not? You know what I'm saying? I got to put my money where my mouth is. I got to make things happen. And I want you to know as well, like, eventually you're going to fall in love with that little routine that you make for yourself. Eventually, that excitement, that fulfillment that you were looking for, even in those big goals or those numbing or fleeting moments, you're going to find in your routines. Like, I really think the secret to life, to happiness, is the simple things that light you up, that make you feel good. To me, it's not about traveling or exploring or all these new and exciting external things. To me, it's about aligning with the life that you truly, truly want for yourself and committing to showing up for that. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be living your life, chugging along, and then one day you're going to look up and it's all going to be different. It's not going to be this like overnight thing. And I think it's important to be clear about that, because I want people to know, like, eventually you're going to get bored with it. Eventually you're going to want to fall back on your unhealthy habits. But you can't, because the life that you want, that you're deserving of, that is meant for you, is right on the other side of your commitments, your boundaries, your self-care, your routines. And it's okay to be bored with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to have a boring life. You know, everything doesn't have to be glitz and glam and adrenaline and excitement. Because at the end of the day, it's not easy, but it's worth it. And eventually it does get easier, you know? Like, you start showing up for these habits, these routines, you start realizing you're feeling better. You're feeling lighter. You're feeling calmer. And then you won't need to escape your life anymore. Then you don't need those numbing, those instant gratification things. Then you realize you've built a life so delicately that is so in alignment for you. That's what I want for everybody. And that's why it's important to see self-care as a sacred discipline and not an obligation, because it is sacred. It is beautiful. It is an honor to be able to take care of yourself. And I just want everyone to feel that way. All right. That's where I'm leaving it. Thank you guys for watching. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, leave a comment, like the video, subscribe, share this video with some friends so that way I can get more subscribers and I can get monetized on YouTube one day. Can't wait. All right, but I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Maybe everybody leave a comment below. What's one thing that you can commit to? One act of self-care. Let me tell you mine. I want to read every night. I do be reading, but not every night. So I want to start doing that more. Reading every night. All right. I'll see you guys later. Bye.